Hello everyone and welcome to my balcony garden. Today I would like to share 7 useful tips for growing food in small spaces. These are things that I've learned over the years growing on my small city balcony, which is just here behind me. I've learned them through trial and error. I've had a lot of success on my balcony growing food, and I've had also some major failures. So I'd like to share what I've learned with you today. This year will be my 5th year growing on my balcony, and I just love it more and more every year, sowing the seeds, watching the plants grow, eventually harvesting them and then sharing them with friends and family, but also enjoying the taste and the different quality that I feel that the food on my balcony has compared to something that I would buy in a supermarket. There's just no comparison. So I'm going to share these points with you, grab a cup of tea or something to drink, and let's get started. So the first tip is to know your growing space, get to know it. This is probably the most important tip. Begin observing your growing space at different times of the day, different times of the year, because this is going to dictate what plant you grow and where. So look for things like sunlight. How much sunlight does your growing space get? Are there shady areas? Are there frost pockets? Is your growing space a microclimate? How hot does your growing space get? My balcony gets to 40 degrees in the summer. It's unbelievable. So of course I can grow things like basil, tomatoes. They absolutely love this growing space, but of course any shade-loving plants are going to suffer, so I stay away from them. So just start observing your growing space over time. You're going to get to know it better, and this is going to help you choose what plants to grow and what not. The second tip is to choose quick cropping crops and compact varieties. So a quick cropping crop is a crop that you sow and then you can harvest within a short space of time, so it's not going to need months of growing in the soil to then be able to harvest it. So things like salad leaves, I grow rucola, rockets, chard as well. You can sow them from seed and harvest them within a month. I also like to grow pea shoots. I grow peas for the peas anyway, but you can also grow pea shoots just to have in salads. They're ready to harvest within 3 weeks. Radishes can be harvested in 40 days, things like spinach, even plants like carrots. If you choose a variety that is quick growing and also that you harvest them when they're small, so sort of a finger size, you are going to be able to get a crop quicker, and this is then going to allow you to start growing and sowing again because now you have free space. So this pot or container or space in the ground that you were growing in is now free because you've already harvested. In terms of compact varieties, I think it's kind of self-explanatory. The varieties are going to stay a certain size. They're never going to grow large, so it means they're more manageable. So I have, for example, always compact bush varieties of tomatoes on my balcony. So I grow Romello, which I literally cannot recommend enough, that variety. I also grow Vilma. I've grown compact aubergines, Ophelia, the variety, they were absolutely delicious. There's a huge range of compact varieties of all different kinds of plants out there, so I would steer towards them. They're going to be easier to manage. The next tip is to maximize every inch of your space, and I mean every inch. So if you've got railings, put hanging baskets on that. If you're growing on trellises, hanging baskets off the trellises. You can grow vertically. I grow peas and broad beans and I train them upwards. Use tiered shelves. I've created also a little bench out on my balcony, which is literally just 2 stumps of wood, plank of wood across it, and this is creating different levels that you can put different plants on top of. I'm lucky enough to live in a building where I have no one above me, so I have access to the roof, and we've built roof shelves, and they have been unbelievable in creating more space and more opportunity to grow plants. So build and form the space around you and use every inch that is available to you. The next tip is to get the soil right, and wow, this is also a really important one. Healthy soil, healthy plants. I cannot stress it enough. Make sure that the soil is a really good quality. It has lots of organic matter in it, has a good structure, it's free draining, and also make sure that the soil you're using is matching the plants that you're planting. So for example, again, let's talk about carrots. They love a really sandy, loamy soil that's nice and free draining. This is going to allow the carrots to grow deep into the soil. Things like broad beans, they love a lot of organic matter within the soil that they're growing in. So even a few weeks before you plant out your broad beans, mix in some organic matter or even well-rotted manure, and they will just romp away. If you get the soil right, the plants are going to look after themselves. The next tip is to match the containers to your space. So my balcony is a sort of rectangle shape. It's about 3.5 meters long and 2 meters wide. So the majority of containers that I use on my balcony are long planters. By using these long, thin planters on structures like the bench that I mentioned before, the tiered shelves and also the roof shelves, I'm not fighting against what is. I also do have, you know, the round containers, but the majority of the containers on my balcony are the long, narrow planters. The next tip is don't oversow or overcrowd your plants. I am very guilty of oversowing in the beginning. Spring comes, I'm like, yay, this season's here, so excited, and I just sow millions of seeds. I don't need them. And even when I give the seedlings or plants away that I don't need, I've still normally got plants left over, and it's wasteful. So I've now devised a way how to calculate roughly, more or less, how many plants my balcony can take at any one time, so I know how many seeds I need to sow. And this is actually going to save space as well, because I won't have many seedlings germinating and growing. In terms of overcrowding, it's very tempting when you're in a small growing space to pack as many plants in as possible because you want to harvest as many things. The problem with that is, especially when you're growing in containers, is that the plants are going to be competing for resources, so things like light, space, nutrients, water. And when they're in this highly competitive environment, the plants are going to suffer. They're then more susceptible to disease, and you might lose the plant altogether. Also, when plants are crowded together, the airflow is going to not be as good as it could be. Airflow helps the plants to also stay healthy, and it also reduces the chances of diseases passing from plant to plant. I'm going to be doing a short video showing how I calculate how many seeds I need to sow for my balcony. So keep an eye out for that one. I can't promise it's going to be exciting, but it's definitely useful. And the last tip is more of a suggestion actually for people who are not able to or inclined to sow from seed, and that is to buy plug plants or grow from cuttings. So of course, growing from seed is a magical, wonderful experience. And of course, you know the life of that seedling plant. You know what it's been exposed to because, I mean, you're growing them yourself, you're bringing them up. Growing from seed can initially take up space. It does take time. You do have to care for them quite a lot in the beginning. And you might just not have the time to grow plants from seed. In that case, I would suggest growing from plug plants or from cuttings. So I like to grow my mint from cuttings. It just makes the whole process a little bit quicker and easier. So those are my 7 tips on how to grow food in small spaces. I could literally go on all day. The video has to end at some point though. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it helped you. If you did, support the channel by subscribing. Do you have a small growing space? Are there any tips that I missed out? I would love to hear about it. I'm always interested in picking up new tips. I hope you're all staying safe and well. I send you all my good wishes, and I'll see you in the next video.